We're going to use Bloom's Taxonomy and the gas pedal hand drill. So for the introduction, just talk about what Bloom's Taxonomy is and the skill that we're going to use to show all levels of learning. Next, let's talk about spindle selection, so spindle size and length, and we'll connect that to Bloom's Taxonomy. So a traditional hand drill, not a thumb loop hand drill, but a traditional hand drill can be extremely long because you need that distance for your hands to travel down to apply the downward pressure. But with a thumb loop hand drill and a gas pedal hand drill, which is what we're making now, since we're using cordage for the downward pressure, it doesn't have to be as long. And the gas pedal hand drill, the spindle itself, can be even shorter than the thumb loop hand drill. So that's one advantage. Now let's connect that to Bloom's Taxonomy. So in order to develop an understanding, we have to memorize some facts. So that would be declarative knowledge, if we wanted to link that back to the previous video. And once we memorize those facts, it helps us develop an understanding. So memorization, understanding. So we can get to that level of Bloom's Taxonomy just in the selection of our spindle. So just like in the last video, we're going to need to use a clove hitch. Now since we've already done this several times, I won't go back over the skill itself because by now you've had some repetition, or you know the people in your group that can actually tie this knot for you. And unlike the thumb loop hand drill, we're going to place this a little lower and we won't need as much cordage. So I'm going to put a couple of half hitches in here, and then I'm going to tie that on to the gas pedal itself. So now I've got the gas pedal tied to the spindle itself, and the distance between this doesn't have to be that great. This clove hitch will allow you to kind of move and change the position of the cordage so that you can get the appropriate angle for your foot to step on and apply the downward pressure. But notice that the gas pedal hand drill is fairly stable. I can apply downward pressure without holding on to the spindle. That's another advantage. Now let's talk about how this is connected to Bloom's Taxonomy. So we said for spindle selection, we needed to know some facts. Well, we need to know some facts about how to tie that knot. So we've got memorization. That'll help us develop an understanding and speak the language of certain terminology and kind of know the order of operations on how to tie the knot. But once we tie the knot, that's application. This is also going to get us to the upper levels of learning. So we'll get past application, we'll get to analysis and evaluation. Before I can evaluate to see if something's correct, I have to analyze it. I have to be able to break it down into its key components. So I have to look at that knot. Do I have enough half hitches? Is it in the appropriate location? That's all part of analysis. I have to be able to do that before I can evaluate it and make sure it's correct. And then I want to check and look at the distance. Will my foot be able to fit near the gas pedal? So I'd have one foot here, one foot holding the fireboard in place. Is everything correct? So just taking that knot, making those adjustments, and connecting the gas pedal to the spindle gets us to memorization because we had to know factual information, declarative information. We had to develop an understanding from that factual information. We had to apply the knot, get everything connected, so that's application. We had to analyze it, make sure it was in a correct location so we could make evaluations about it. And now we've created the setup minus the fireboard. So we've gotten to all levels of Bloom's Taxonomy just on this one activity. Now, since we've covered this information in previous videos, I won't go too in depth. But let's just talk about how Bloom's Taxonomy would be applied here. I have to have factual information. I have to know the appropriate depth of the notch, and actually how to make that divot, right? And how to make the notch itself. So you have information you have to memorize. You have to develop an understanding of how to use that information in order to appropriately apply that information to the fireboard. We have to analyze and evaluate. So just like in the last video where I said that notch there may be too narrow. I know that this notch here is way too wide. This notch was actually perfect, and I made an ember in that one. So that's all part of analysis. I have to break it down into its key components in order to evaluate to see if it's correct. And that allows me to create the appropriate fireboard. So now let's put it all together. So once we place the spindle in the fireboard, we've got one foot here holding it down. We've got the other foot here with downward pressure. We get in the appropriate position. We go back and forth until dust fills that notch up. We make the ember. Now, in the process of making that ember, again, let's break this down according to Bloom's taxonomy. We had to memorize facts to even get to that point. How does this all go together? We had to have an understanding of how it goes together before we could apply that. Could we do this without analysis and evaluation? It'd be fairly difficult because things may be out of place. They may not work correctly if we're trying to make the ember. In order to create that ember, we need all those previous steps to be efficient. So your last slide should summarize the process all the way up to ember creation. So just like we said in the last video, in order to make an ember here, we have to use all levels of learning, not just to make the ember. We had to do that for spindle selection. We had to use multiple levels of learning in the fireboard selection. Same thing with applying the cordage so that we could put the kit together. So even before we got to ember creation, we had already used all levels of learning according to Bloom's taxonomy.